Welcome to this session. I think we will take 1 minute for the photographs to be taken, and then we are going to start our session.
Do you have that question?
I think that is enough. Your Honor, Honorable Mother Koome, we want to welcome you to this interview on behalf of commissioners, and thank you for being here. And just to let you know that we hope it will be more of a conversation so that between you and us, and please relax, Judge, and answer your questions as precisely as possible. The interview will be by all of us, the 9 commissioners. And now I'd like to the commissioners to introduce themselves. And I'll start. My name is Professor Olive Mugenda, Commissioner, representing the public, and also chairing these interviews. And to my right.
Good morning, my lady. I am Philomena Mbetemwilo, the elected representative of the Supreme Court to the Commission, and the Deputy Chief Justice of the Republic.
Good morning, Judge. I'm Patrick Ishohi, representing the Public Service.
Good morning, Your Ladyship. David Majanja, Judge of the High Court, representing Kenya Magistrates and Judges Association as the male representative.
Good morning, Judge. My name is Olwanda Evelyn, Chief Magistrate. I represent the female representative, of KMJ. Thank you.
Morning, my lady. My name is Machari Njero. I represent the Law Society of Kenya.
Good morning, Judge. My name is Felix Kuske. I represent the public.
Morning, my lady. My name is Mohammed Warsame. Welcome.
Very good morning, my lady. Kihara Kariuki. I am the Attorney General, and I'm a member of this commission by virtue of that office.
Thank you, commissioners. Honorable Judge, if you're not sure of any question, you can seek clarification from commissioners or ask the commissioner to repeat the question, just so that you are clear when you're answering that question. So I'll kick off the interview, Your Honor, by asking you to tell us very, very generally, because I'm sure your fellow lawyers and judges will ask you more, but tell us generally what you perceive to be the role of the Chief Justice.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Thank you very much, Honorable Commissioners. Thank you for inviting me to this interview to defend my application for the office of the Chief Justice. The role of the Chief Justice is spelled out in the Constitution and in the Judicial Service Act and other statutes. The Chief Justice is the end of the judiciary. He is the President of the Supreme Court. He is the Chair of the Judicial Service Commission. He is the Chair of the Kenya Law Report Council. He is the Chair of the National Council on the Administration of Justice. In his role as the end of the judiciary, he delegates duties and responsibilities to the Honorable Deputy Chief Justice. He also liaises with the President of the Court of Appeal, Principal Judge, and Principal Judges of other courts of equal status, including overseeing the Chief Registrar of the Judiciary, who is the accounting officer. He also chairs the JOLAC, that is the Internal Leadership Committee, comprising of all the leaders of the various courts. He is the link between the judiciary and the other arms of government. He swears into office the advocates. He also swears into office the president, the deputy president, and also the constitution commissioners. We have like 15 of them under Chapter 15 of the Constitution. He is the one who swears them in the office. I think when I'm Chief Justice, we will consolidate all those laws, write them in a booklet, and post them so that at a glance you can be able to see the role of the CJ, because there is more, like he advises also the president when to dissolve parliament if they have not enacted the law. So there are more other things, but basically that is the role of the CJ.
Thank you very much, Honorable Judge. Please tell the Commission and the Kenyans who you are, Judge, in terms of you as a person, in terms of yourself as a judge, and also in terms of yourself as a leader. Those three parameters, please explain to the Commission whom you are.
Yes, thank you very much. My name is Martha Koome. I'm a judge in the Court of Appeal. I'm ending the criminal division at the moment. I have 3 years of experience, and a significant portion of those years have been served in public. I was admitted in the bar, having completed my degree in law in 1986, proceeded to the Kenya School of Law and graduated and was admitted in the bar. I subsequently did a master's degree in 2010. I have also done other professional courses to enhance my skill. I have practiced law for 15 years and before I became a judge. And my practice of law was in wide range of areas of law. I did not just practice law also to earn money. I was actively involved in public interest matters that solidified into constitutional review and law reform. I was a council member in the Law Society. The former Chief Justice, Dr. Willy Mutunga, was my chairperson, and we participated in the clamor for the review of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, participating all the way from Kamukonji, Ufungamano, and I was a delegate at the Bomas of Kenya. I'm proud to be associated with the 2010 Constitution. I was chairperson of FINDA, and in FINDA we spearheaded law reform that has led to a raft of reforms that now protect family. I was invited while at FINDA to join the expanded legal sector reform committee that was led by the judiciary. Justice Omoro was our chairperson. We had all the stakeholders in the administration of justice, and we developed the blueprint that informed the reforms in the justice sector that was later on known as the GJ laws. In fact, while at the GJ laws, in the family division where I worked for 3 years, and I made reforms there, introduced a checklist and a bench book that helped the courts finalize the cases expeditiously. I was transferred to Nakuru, where I was the resident judge, and also initiated reforms there, case management strategy, court user committee. I also served at the Milimani Commercial Court. I served at the ELC, and I was appointed. I was later on transferred sometimes in 2009 to Kitale. Kitale was a troubled station then because there was a standoff between the advocates who were protesting against a judge, and there were no proceedings going on for a whole year. So when I went there, I was able, using my management skills, to quell the advocates, and we had a good working relationship. I was able to organize the work and worked in the mobile courts at Kakuma and Rokicha. I'm proud that the court we started as a mobile court in Kakuma now is a fully fledged court, a magistrate's court. So I was then transferred or promoted to the Court of Appeal. I've worked in Nyeri. Our bench in Nyeri is credited to have cleared the entire backlog and brought the station to real time. And that was a feat that has never been achieved anywhere in the Commonwealth. I worked in Mombasa, Marindi. Currently, I'm in the Court of Appeal here in Nairobi, ending the criminal division, where I've also initiated changes, was instrumental to the development of the practice directions, civil appeals that enabled the courts to manage the cases and reduce the backlog expeditiously because it introduced a call over for the cases, so only the cases that are ready, that are fixed for hearing, and they proceed and we complete. Just now completed another practice directions on the criminal appeals, and also the Court of Appeal Registry Manual that I've worked with the stakeholders and the Court of Appeal staff. In a nutshell, that is what I am. But my background is that I'm born in rural Kenya, in Meru County, a village called Kevio. I think I need to bring that background. It is important because I grew up from an humble family. We were 18 children from 2 mothers. My father was a polygamist. I was number 8 from my mother. So my leadership as orientation started early as the 8th child of my mother struggling to, as a peasant to put food on the table. I started mimicking her to see how I can help her reduce the burden on her. So I started working hard with my mother. I learned handwork from her. And because of her commitment, I was able to go to school. And thank God I was able to complete and to reach where I am because of the very good training that has grounded me well.
Okay. Thank you very much, Honorable Judge. Just a follow-up question. Please tell us whether you are a visionary leader, a transformative leader. I know you may have mentioned some of that, but just focus on, are you visionary, are you transformative?
Thank you, Chair. I believe I am both. I start by seeing the big picture of what it is that I want to do, the objective of the judiciary, and what we need to achieve. Is it clearing the backlog of cases? Is it ensuring that we have adequate resources to enable us do what it is that we have to do? So my leadership is situational, is consultative, is participatory, And throughout my life, the small nuggets I've given have been in leadership positions. From the Law Society council member, I forgot to say I was also a member of the Council of the East Africa Law Society. In fact, it is my council that founded the East Africa Law Society when the community was also founded. So I was the inaugural treasurer and participated also in the community treaty document and in establishing the community bodies such as the East Africa Court of Justice. I've also served in the African Union as a commissioner between 2005 and 2010 when I was appointed by the heads of state, sitting at SIOT to represent Kenya as the commissioner at the African Committee on the Rights and Welfare of Children. So what I bring is regional expertise, leadership also in regional bodies, in local bodies. I was the chair of FINDA. I also have international experience, having worked with international bodies like the UNICEF, the UN. I am a certified human rights trainer by the International Institute for Justice that is headquartered in Malta. I'm also a recognized human rights trainer by the Commonwealth Secretariat, having authored for them the bench book manual on gender-based violence that is used to train judges and magistrates in East Africa. So in this office of the judiciary, I am a transformative leader because having participated in the transformation initiative by the Kenyans themselves to reform the constitution, to reform the law, to reform the justice institutions, and the work that I've done in the courts, in the family division as resident judge in Nakuru, resident judge in Kitare, starting the mobile courts, being the chairperson of the Kenya Magistrates and Judges Association puts me in good stead because I have good strategic partnerships from inside, from the magistrates whom I have interacted with as their president, and also with the stakeholders. I've just completed a very good exercise, very delicate and very important, on preparing a report on the state of children in the administration of justice. That is the NCAJ, the National Council on the Administration of Justice, Special Task Force on Children Matters, where we went around this country looking at the situation of children and making recommendations on what needed to be done from the law reform, reviewing the Children Act, reviewing the practices, reviewing the procedures, and putting together all the policy documents that are needed to protect children. And for that, I was acknowledged by the UN, becoming the runner-up person of the year 2020. So I bring local, regional, international experience to the leadership of the Office of the Chief Justice. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Judge. Last question from me. What challenges have you faced as a leader, as a judge, in your career? And the second part of that question, Honorable Judge, is if you become the first woman Chief Justice in Kenya, what challenges do you expect to face, and how are you going to go about mitigating those challenges? Thank you.
Yes, I believe the challenges that we face in the judiciary are completely gender neutral. They are the same challenges a male judge or a male judicial officer will face. But it will be historical for this commission to nominate a woman for the office of the Chief Justice because it has never happened before. Leadership also is generally without, it's gender neutral. It doesn't require a man or a woman. None of the attributes of my being a woman or being a man would do anything in the office of the Chief Justice. It is the leadership skills. It is skills that will deal with the challenges that we face in the judiciary. Leadership, to me, simply put, is like driving a car. Whoever sits on the driver's seat, so long as you have the proficiency of driving, you have a driver's license, you know how to drive the car will go. That is the same as leadership. Whoever sits on the leadership seat, all you need are skills. In the office of the Chief Justice, you need people skills, interpersonal skills to deal with the people. You will deal with the judges, very senior jurists in the Supreme Court. You deal with the judges from the Court of Appeal, High Court, learned people in their own right. You deal with the bar. You will deal with the stakeholders. You deal with the executive. You deal with the registration and everybody. So you need skills. You need also managerial skills, because you will be oversighting, various things. No micromanaging, because you have the CRJ, you have the departments, but you must understand, what is required of you. So as a lady, I appreciate everybody brings to the table something. So in the leadership, you are supposed to have, both men and women. So I'm very amiable to work with, so I can work with a cross-cutting range of people from diverse backgrounds, from diverse professions.
But Your Honor, you must have come across some challenges, maybe not necessarily as a lady judge, but generally in your career. I'm so interested to hear some of the challenges that you have faced,
yes,
how you have gone about them, and also what challenges you expect to face,
yes,
if you become the Chief Justice.
Yes, the particular challenges I faced them as a judge. I just discussed the challenges I faced when I went to Kitale. It was a court that was not operating for a whole year. So when they had a judge has come, so I had like 1,000 people appear in court one day. So what I did was to look at the portfolio of the cases that were there. I saw the prison was beaming, so I did a revision of the sentences, and I was able to reduce the population of the prison by reducing the sentences. If you have been sentenced to serve 3 years, and you have already served a year, and there is a report that you are a person of good conduct, I would commute that sentence to the period served, depending on the report, or commit you to community service, so that you leave the prison, you serve from home. Then I looked at the other portfolios. Succession matters were so many, because no grants were being used, and families who come to for succession matters, for the letters of administration, are really hurting. They have lost a loved one. They are stranded. They need the grant so that they can move their lives forward. So what I did was to just sit there for 2 weeks and just completed like 1,000 grants that were clogging the system. And then employing the pre-bargaining in murder cases, because there were very many murder cases that were pending. Pre-bargaining is a system that is around in the law. When I read the files, I saw the ones which were really not murder per se, but were like manslaughters, but people have been charged with murder. So I was able to reduce the backlog of cases, and by the time I left after 1 year, the station was completely normal, up to date, working. In Nakuru, I also faced challenges, because when you are the resident judge, you're in charge of a very large region. Those days, there was no high court in Naivasha, there was no high court in Nyahururu, Bomet, Kericho, Narok. all that area, we covered it as Nakuru. And we were only 3 judges. At one time, my other 2 colleagues were involved in tribunal hearings. So I would be alone in the station, all alone. And in the midst of all that, as we were trying to organize the work, some key magistrates were transferred from the station. So that now the lawyers came to ask, now what are we going to do? That court is not operating, the other court is not operating. So I would write letters to the Chief Justice asking that we get replacement magistrates, but as you know, because you have looked at the reports of the judiciary, we have always had a shortage of judicial officers. The next time the advocates came, I told them, look, I don't hire magistrates. If I did hire, I would have hired actually 5, not even 1. So you go to Nairobi and seek an appointment from the office of the registrar to see the CJ. And that's what they did. They came, they saw the CJ. And that same week, by the end of the week, I had letters posting to magistrates in Nakuru. So there are many challenges on the backlog of cases. Is the major one because it affects Kenyans, and Kenyans want their cases to be heard expeditiously. Thank you.
Honorable Judge, we all have people that have helped us shape who you are as a professional, as a person. Who is your role model? Who is this person, or who are these people who have shaped you to be where you are today?
Thank you. I think I mentioned my mother, who had nothing, just tilling the land, but continuously playing for us, the girls, because we were 18, and we were, from my mother, we were 9, 5 girls, 4 boys. I was very close to my mother, so I learned hard work from her, prayerful. She was so prayerful. She would pray for us, kneel down until our knees really showed the marks for prayers. And she would wish that we went to school and that we were empowered so that we were not like her. So she is first and foremost my role model. Then my sister, who had beaten the odds in 1973, also graduated as a teacher. Graduation was celebrated in the village as the first one. And I told myself as a little girl then, I am going to graduate. How? I didn't know. But I kept my eyes focused on graduating. Later on, I've come to know other people like Professor Rea Marango, whom I've looked up because I also got married early. I was a young mother trying to balance a career. Trying to balance my family, and I looked up at Professor Rea Marango, how she was also able to balance family life, career, and becoming the top, the first professor in East Africa. And also my friend, Dr. Jennifer Area. Those are women I looked up to, they were closer to me. But later on, I've seen other women judges from all over who have inspired me in a big way.
Thank you very much, Honorable Judge. And I will now request Commissioner DCJ to ask you questions.
Thank you, my lady. You have been an insider for how long?
18 years, my lady acting Chief Justice.
18 years, and most of the time you've been judge, you've been presiding judge. Resident is where we began.
Yeah.
Please tell us what you perceive to be, or what you do know to be, the administrative and judicial challenges in the judiciary right now that my lady will make a priority to fix.
Yes. Thank you very much, my lady acting Chief Justice, for that question. The administrative challenges are many. I'll begin with the human resource register asset. When I was preparing for this interview and looking at the reports, especially the last State of the Judiciary report, it indicates that the human capital is at 46%. 56%. So we have a deficit of 44% of the kind of workforce that is required in terms of judicial, administrative officers, magistrates, and judges. We all know the shortages of judges that we have. We also have budgetary constraints because also looking at the reports, it shows that the judiciary receives 0.86. It doesn't receive a whole 1% of the national GDP. It's underfunded. The judiciary fund that is supposed to attract proper management and independence of the institution, secure the independence of the institution financially, has not been operationalized. So that is also a big administrative challenge. The other challenges are coordination of the core business of the judiciary, that is the work that judges do, to link it up with the support that we get from the staff, and to be able to consolidate everything and move seamlessly. Part of it, like in the Court of Appeal where I sit, is because of the infrastructure problems. It's also a challenge. IT, technology. Thanks be to COVID, that we have been able to embrace some rudimentary technology to do our work. We have to struggle with that until we make it work. But that is also a challenge. I'm just talking of the challenges in the Court of Appeal because, like the chambers of the judges, the secretary sits like 100 meters away from the judge. The researcher also sits maybe 200 meters away, so the coordination of work so that we work smoothly is a challenge. Judicial, also one which cuts across is the shortage of judges, magistrates, and the shortage of infrastructure in some stations. There are some stations that do not have, judges. As we sit here, the Court of Appeal is not sitting in Nyeri or Mombasa. So those are challenges. And also, judiciously, the way we deal with the public and interface with the public, I think there is also a challenge communicating effectively, especially the judicial side with the public, for them to know how we designed our cases, what is judicial independence, so what is judicial interdependence. So we have a few things to iron out there. Thank you.
Please, my lady, give us your solutions.
Solutions. Beginning with the admin, I think the solution is to get the judiciary fund operationalized. I know the act or the bill to operationalize it is either in Parliament, in the floor of Parliament. So the solution here is to fast track it, and once it's operationalized, we can attract funding. The judiciary has always been supported by donors. we can get the government funding. The 17 billion that I had was given to the judiciary. If it is put in the judiciary fund, and then we get other support from partners, it is put in the fund. Judiciary also collects revenue. I don't know whether it can also be put in the fund, but my view is that if it is put, then judiciary will never lack money to complete projects, because there are so many projects that are also stored, because even if we get this 17 billion, it is dispersed in tranches and in periodically. So sometimes it's delayed, and once you delay contractors, then you end up paying more. You end up losing value for money. So institutionalize or operationalize the judiciary fund, and then put in audits so that you get value for money. Because once you are able to account for what you receive and account perfectly and show the deliverables, you'll always attract money. Deliverables will always attract money. So have a system that monitors value for money. And then for the judicial challenges, we just have to get judges in the office. There are 41 judges who are pending appointment by the executive. We have to negotiate for them to take their positions. Like the Court of Appeal is running on almost less than half the arrangement. So it's absolutely necessary that judges get appointed. When it comes to communication with the public, because really the public want to know why their cases are delayed, we must have a very good communication system. And I looked at the SJT, the Sustaining Judiciary Transformation strategy, that I really recognize my lady, the Honorable Acting CJ, drove that process. It's a very good document. It has provision for SMSing, so that Kenyans can SMS and find out where their case is. So, you know, there are things to complete the implementation in that strategy. I believe it's under review because it is 2017 to 2021. It's under review, and I think once it's reviewed, then we will be able to correct all the issues there that have not been implemented and begin another process of implementing the new strategy.
Thank you, my lady. Would my lady know the position, being an insider, would my lady know where we are at with the judiciary fund?
That is the one I was not able to establish.
Okay.
I thought it's in Parliament.
We actually have the law itself.
It's up.
But let's go to the next point, which is this. The judiciary is a big institution present in the 47 counties, and we have that funding of 17 billion per annum. And my lady says that the fines we collect ought to remain with us. Would my lady tell us how that would be done, and go further and say what is the position on tax collection and that kind of revenue collection in the Republic, and whether or what my lady's position is on the economy, on the country's economy, and how that is to be dealt with.
Yes, thank you. I think the solution of whether we can use the revenue collected by the judiciary to put it in our fund It's a decision that will involve the entire government because it touches on the whole framework, the whole configuration of how we collect taxes. But in my mind, thinking about how judiciary can be independent financially, I was looking at like the mortgage fund. We got a seed money to give loans to judiciary staff and judges to buy houses or build a house. Once we got that seed money, it was put in a fund, and then we borrow from there, and then we keep paying at a reasonable interest rate. That fund is almost up and going on its own because every month people are paying in. Then there are a cohort of applicants who are borrowing, and they are borrowing from that fund. It's actually sustaining. So this is a rudimentary way I looked at, the judiciary fund. Once it's set, if our funds can also go there, then it can actually be sustainable. But that's a big negotiation. I understand.
Yes, and a big discussion, big discussion there.
Yeah.
On whether all the monies can be deposited to the fund at a go, and whether in fact that is possible. Let's go to another point. As my lady leads us in this institution, what does my lady know about the problems, if in fact they can be called that, regarding tribunals in the judiciary? How many are with us? How many are not? And what challenges we are facing there, and how my lady would help resolve them?
Very well. Thank you very much, my lady, Deputy Acting Chief Justice. There are very many tribunals. I don't think I can be able to say on top of my end how many they are. We have the Cooperative Tribunal, we have the Industrial Properties Tribunal.
My lady, the question
Standards Tribunal.
How many are transited and what challenges we are facing?
Indeed, all of them are supposed to transition to the judiciary, because I think we also have a judgment of the court that has stated that tribunal members and the staff are judiciary staff. So all of them are supposed to transition. So it is the usual business or push and pull, because you are talking of removing power of appointment, power of learning the tribunal from a ministry. So there'll be the usual teething problems, interministerial, that should actually be sorted through negotiations and understanding that tribunals belong to the judiciary. They are part and parcel of the judiciary. So if there are some that have not completely transitioned, is to fix a meeting with the line ministry and say henceforth the tribunal now is answerable to the registrar of the tribunals, who has been appointed by the JSC, is answerable to the CRJ, and is answerable to the CJ and to this commission.
Remaining on that tribunal problem, it's a big one in fact. The responsibility over the tribunals, is it the Chief Justices? Is it the JSC's problem? Whose problem is it? Who should be concerned about getting the tribunals transited? And by the way, what is the role played by the tribunals in the justice system?
Tribunals support the justice system. It's the alternative remedy that is provided for in most of the key areas of the economy. Tribunals are provided so that they are the first stop shop for somebody seeking a remedy. Say the tax tribunal. If you have a dispute with the KRA, then the first call will be the tribunal because they are specialized and that is all that they do. The case will be determined expeditiously, and that is the principle behind all the tribunals. They are supposed to deal, the environmental tribunal is supposed to deal with environmental issues before now an appeal can be made according to the way it is provided for in the law, because before they can go to the High Court, or if it is a tribunal set on disciplinary of a judge, before I think they can go to the Supreme Courts. So it is the first call where the problems are sieved, and it's a very important forum. So I'll look at a tribunal the way I'll look at a court and say a magistrate is answerable to the registrar of their court, and then the case will go on to the chief registrar, and then it will go to the CJ. If it's a case in a court station where there is a resident judge, it will be the magistrate, the chief magistrate, and then the resident judge, and then it will come all the way, the channels that we use. Now, when we are talking about the tribunal, the chairman of the tribunal will be answerable, will be discussing whatever administrative issues he has with the registrar of the tribunals. And I believe every tribunal will have a deputy registrar as well. And then those problems will be escalated to and there are those which will be going to the Chief Justice.
The earlier part of the question,
yes,
is whose problem it is to sort out the problems or issues surrounding tribunals.
The buck stops at the Chief Justice's office, my lady.
Why? Why not JSC?
It depends on the kind of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
If it is a judicial problem on the decision-making issues, jurisdictions, issues, judicial, it is the Chief Justice. After all, my lady, the Chief Justice is also the chairperson of the JSC. So in his own wisdom, he will know what he can be able to deal with and what needs policy statement from the JSC.
Okay, I hear you, my lady. Let's go to something else, and it is this. Please listen to this statement. It is a fact that the majority of disputes in our society are not resolved through the courts. That is a statement of fact. Now the question is, how do you consider that statement of fact? Is it an indictment of our justice system? If yes, why? If no, why not?
The statement is factual, it's correct. And indeed, that is the way it should be. There is no way the judiciary can solve all the problems in the society. Problems are many. The judiciary is there to be as a matter of last resort. Problems that cannot be solved in the community, in the family, using these alternative dispute mechanisms, using mediation, those are very many problems. Problems solved at the chief's offices, problems solved at the churches, those are many, because I think everybody has a problem one time or another. And no one would expect all these problems to end in the judiciary. The judiciary cannot handle. So it's not an indictment of the judiciary. Judiciary is doing as much as it could and working hard to open multiple doors so that justice can be accessible especially through the court annex mediation, through the alternative justice system, empowering communities to be able to communicate with each other and deal with their own problems and solve them.
The next issue for our discussion, my lady, would be, again, a statement. I don't know whether you would agree with it. According to certain feminist legal theories, the law corresponds with or is part of structures of patriarchal dominance and oppression. I'll take that again. According to certain feminist legal theories, the law corresponds with or is a part of structures of patriarchal dominance and oppression. Does my lady subscribe to that position?
100%, my lady.
Now, please discuss. And as my lady is discussing, let me finalize my question.
Oh.
As my lady is discussing that, let my lady quote to us some prominent cases on the topic. And the last part of that question will come after we have heard the first part of the answer, my lady.
Okay. Thank you very much. The statement is correct that the legal structure is dominated by patriarchy. This is because our society is patriarchal. Laws are made in parliament, and the dominant majority in parliament is male. So it is informed by their background, by their statement, by their socialization, the way they are socialized. They are socialized to look at women as second-rate or second-class citizens, people who are supposed to be at home, homemakers, people who bear children, but are not supposed to take part in leadership positions. That's where we came from all the way from our colonial heritage. So we have come a long way, especially with the Constitution of 2010 that outlaws discrimination. My lady Chief Justice, you will remember even the Constitution of Kenya, the old one, outrightly discriminated against women. They could not confer citizenship. It allowed customary practices to prevail, to be recognized as part of the law. And we know customary practices were those which put down a woman, early child marriage, FGM were not outlawed. But we have come a long way now that the Constitution has even recognized affirmative action and enacted that in all appointed positions in public offices, you must be wary of gender equity in those. So there are many cases on declaring the rights or equal rights of women. The one that comes on top of my mind was a case of a woman, Sarah, I think she came from Namibia, and she went to a hotel unaccompanied by a man, and she was turned away. She sued the Hotel Intercontinental for discrimination, and indeed the courts declared that it was unlawful, it was illegal, it was discriminatory for the hotel to turn away a female guest simply because she was not accompanied by male. So we have so many other decisions on property rights. Women are entitled to matrimonial property which is acquired during marriage, despite the fact that the land was registered in the name of the man who was supposed to be the trustee of the family. we have many in succession law that say that women can inherit property, their status, their marital status or their gender notwithstanding. So we've come a long way.
My lady, please distinguish, this is important, distinguish between the majority and the dissenting opinions in the matter of the principle of gender representation case in the Supreme Court on the same subject. That's part 2 of that question, and that will deal with the feminist theory.
Yes, thank you very much. The majority decision in the gender 2/3 case was that the provision is progressive. It's the 2/3 gender rule was to be attained progressively.
It was not a unanimous decision, my lady.
The majority decision?
We want to hear the distinct, what you make of the majority and of the dissent.
Yes, I was trying to read the background of what was the majority.
Mm-hmm.
It was the rule will be achieved progressively, not instantaneous. The dissenting opinion was that Parliament is under obligation immediately to enact a legislation that operationalizes the section, I think it's 27(8) of the Constitution. So that was the difference, that one, it is immediate, the other one is progressive.
Which judges dissented?
The Chief Justice.
Alone?
Dr. Willy Mutunga, I think.
Mm-hmm. My lady, let's go to the various roles my lady will have to perform under as Chief Justice. And my lady enumerated those in the beginning. But let us start with the Supreme Court. In the Supreme Court, my lady will not be the Chief Justice. My lady will be the President of the court. Kindly tell me the roles of the President of the Supreme Court and how my lady is prepared to fit in.
Yes.
And what has prepared my lady to fit into the roles of the President of the Supreme Court.
Thank you very much for that question, my lady. The Supreme Court has 7 justices. They are jurists, each one of them in their own right. When it is a court, the Chief Justice is just a presiding judge in the court. He's one among the equals. His opinion just counts for one. So the role of the CJ, if he is sitting, because I believe he will not be sitting she will not be sitting all the time, because the quorum of the court is 5. So when it's 5 and the CJ is not there, the CJ will probably be the one preparing the course lists of the court and signing it out, comprising or constituting the benches. Is delegated to the DCJ. The DCJ then constitutes the benches and prepares who presides. So if the CJ is not in the court,